So in today's training, I'll be introducing you guys to the food swap system, which is going to be walking you through all the food hacks, all the food swaps, and how we can essentially eat what are good meals while also losing body fat and get to the shape of a lifetime and sustain that forever. Now, the reason for this training is predominantly because a lot of guys, a lot of women, they start dieting and they have very small meals. They don't end up enjoying any part of dieting whatsoever. And it's because they're very much introduced to the notion that they have to eat certain foods, low calorie meals, and they often don't stick to it because it's not something they want to sustain, right? There's a difference between, yes, getting gritty and white knuckling your way towards fat loss, and then another way where you can actually make it seamless and automatic in the background. So I'm going to show you a lot of swaps, the frameworks behind food swaps, and how you can essentially achieve your dream body in a very simple and realistic way. Now, the reason and the real problem we're going to dive into from the get-go is because fat loss isn't about eating less food. It's about eating different foods and tweaking quantities, right? Most people think just by shrinking their meals, that's what they have to do. They have to reduce portion sizes, have a smaller plate, which is never the right way to go about it. All that does is creates hunger, inconsistency, weight rebound, and inevitably you end up gaining the weight back, which I don't want you to do. So we're going to solve this problem for good. The fix, generally speaking, we're going to be focusing on a few things. We're going to be focusing on one, focus on the same plate size, if not a larger plate size, whilst losing body fat. So rather than having shrinking meals, you're either expanding the meal size or you're keeping it the exact same. Two, we're going to introduce you to the whole lower calories per bite meals. Speaking about the concept of food volume and low fat density. Now, the terms are going to be quite important to know. These are some things that's going to be quite revolutionary. They seem quite different and it's quite, um, higher level, but when you break it down, it's much easier than you think. So low calories per bite, let's say you got a meal, right? Each bite will have roughly a certain number of calories. So let's say you're having a pizza, or let's say you're having the waffle here in this example. This is what we call every bite you have, you'll have high calories. But let's say you have a handful of strawberries, you will have low calories. So the same bite, but lower calories. So like essentially what we want to do is be able to have lower calorie per bite meals, lower calorie per bite foods, which can allow you to enjoy more foods and actually lose body fat. Higher volume food is basically how can we have food that weighs a lot in grams but less calories? So think of it, we can have a tablespoon of olive oil, or we can have a ton of grapes. We can have a egg whites omelette, for example, right? Which has kind of similar calories, but it's a lot larger too. So we're thinking, how much room does that take on the plate? How can we have more of it without increasing calories as well? Lower fat density, this is going to be something we dive into as well. A lot of times, if you go for lower fat variations, they tend to have a lot more food volume, which ties into point number two. So think of it, if you go from a, let's say, peanut butter compared to honey, you can get more honey compared to peanut butter in terms of the size of the meal itself. Hope that makes sense. Now, as we go further, these are little parts you want to take screenshots of, and I'll walk through this. So let's say you're going for chicken thighs, go chicken breast. You'll save yourself calories there. Rather than going for salmon, go for whitefish, prawns, or something that's going to be leaner, that's going to be lower fat. Steak, you can go for lean cut steaks, which is going to be lower fat. You'll end up having a lot more your base on that as well. So let's say a rump steak, which is usually the fattiest part of the steak. If you swap that out for, let's say, a sirloin, where you can have low calories, but you also can have more food volume in your plate. So you can have more steak in your plate for less calories. Going for 20% beef mince or 5% beef mince, pork belly to pork tenderloin, sausages to lean turkey sausages, whole eggs to egg whites, and has some whole eggs, which can actually give you a little bit of a bigger omelette or however you're making your eggs. Going for full fat Greek yogurt to low fat Greek yogurt. So you can have 100 grams of, let's say, full fat Greek yogurt, maybe about 80 calories to 100 calories, whereby low fat Greek yogurt, maybe half, 50 calories per 100 grams. So you can have twice as much of low fat Greek yogurt compared to full fat, or you can have the same grams but just half the calories. Full fat milk compared to skim milk, semi-skim milk, or even almond milk, coconut milk, plant-based milk. For example, if you have, let's say, I think it's 70 calories per 100 milliliters of full fat milk, 100 milliliters of almond milk unsweetened will be 19 calories. Right, so you've literally had 20% of calories compared to the actual full thing. Cheddar cheese for cottage cheese, light cheese, etc. That's going to be based on that. So take a screenshot. That's going to be some things you can plug and play. Then second, you've got a screenshot here you can take as well. So that's mayonnaise. Go for light mayonnaise. Go for Greek yogurts. Go for, let's say it's chili jam. Let's say it's barbecue sauce, ketchup. We can swap out to hot sauces. Hot sauce tends to have low calories, generally speaking, anyways. And Nando's hot sauce. Go to town with it. Have some fun with it. You can never have too many calories from that. Cream-based sauces, tomato-based sauces, you'll save a ton of calories. Frying in oil compared to air frying, roasting, grilling, that's going to save you oil, which will essentially make it much easier to lose body fat because you'll have the same meal at the end, less calories. Then a big thing, if you are using, let's say, free pod oil, vegetable oil, extra virgin oil, whatever oil you're using, swap it to a 1 calorie spray or start to measure it in 1 tablespoon of measured oil so you can start to be very calorie conscious. White bread, not because it's bad, but if you swap it out for potatoes and rice, you can get more of the food on your plates. Pastries for oats, rice-based meals. Crisp for popcorn, you can have a ton of popcorn, which will fill you up for like hours. Compared to a bag of crisps, you can fill in minutes, and typically has higher salt, which keeps you more hungry. Chocolate bars for protein yogurt, protein bars for protein smoothies. Sugary cereals for oats and protein bars. So, for example, if you have, let's say, 60 grams of Cocoa Pops, that's going to be about 250 calories. Now, if you have 30 grams of oats, 30 grams of whey protein powder, you can kind of put some little plant-based milk in there. You can get a big bowl of oats. It's got high protein, and is very, very filling, and has more food volume compared to Cocoa Pops, for example, right? So you can get a lot more food in your plate. Fruit juice, typically the thing with fruit juice is it takes away all the fiber, so you actually end up just having sugar, generally speaking, and it doesn't have as much vitamins, minerals compared to the whole fruit stuff. So what I'd probably rather you go for, whole fruits, get some sparkling water, get some diet drinks. It's a nice little combination too. Try not to have fruit juices, in my opinion, unless you like it and you fit it into your calories and you're calorie conscious. I'd rather you go for the whole thing, have the fiber, the micros, and the macros, so you don't take away the actual properties as well. So these are swaps you can take a screenshot of. Feel free to do that now. And now we're going to dive into this. Now, I've taught you swaps you can make, right? The thing you don't want to do is consume more of these foods. So, like for example, like you can gain body fat by having a lot of prawns. You can gain body fat having a lot of steak. Yes, there's good swaps and there's low calories, but calories in but calories out equates to fat loss. There's tons of guys that will have eggs all day that struggle to lose body fat. And hey, I'm having the right foods, but it's just not working. It's because you're having too many calories. So don't take this and think, right, I can have as much as I can. You still want to be conscious in terms of what you're putting in terms of your diet day to day. So it's never the food you eat, is the overconsumption. So I'm not going to say, hey, we need to make these swaps right away. But typically you find it harder to consume, overconsume these foods compared to that. I know for me, if it's 9 p.m. and I'm stressed, I'm tired, and there's cereal there, I'm gonna go to town with it. But if it's oats there, I'll stop a lot sooner as well. So I'm never gonna put food on a pedestal as one's better than the other. There's healthier alternatives, they're better high protein. The swaps matter because it's hard to overconsume, but if you end up consuming either the same number of calories, if not more, you'll still struggle to lose body fat. So these swaps here actually will save you calories, or you'll end up getting a lot more fullness from the meal. So it'll actually make it easy to stick to your diet in the first place. But the big mistake isn't thinking you can eat what you want, provided you use the right foods, which a lot of people do. They eat healthy foods, but they still don't get anywhere. So these swaps are there to be made super simple to be like, hey, we're going to be swapping these foods out because I'll make adherence to a calorie deficit much easier and make it nice and day as well. Now, beyond that, here's a few things you can do because I'm a big believer. Yes, you can remember, which you will over time. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, the more second nature becomes. Like I know for a fact, if I'm going to go out for a meal and it says chicken thighs, I'll swap it out for chicken breast. If I'm going to go out for a steak, if I'm dieting or I want to go on low calories, I will end up swapping out for something that's a leaner cut steak. However, it's hard to remember when you start off. So start to use ChatGPT, right? What I probably want you to do is go and be like, hey, I'm looking for a food swap with the same or equal number of calories or less for chicken breast. Can you give me a variation and a substitution of a specific quantity? So it'll be like, hey, let's say you're having 200 grams of chicken thighs, right? You can then put this prompt in ChatGPT, say, can you give me the exact grams of a substitution I can use? And I'll tell you the exact grams of chicken breast you can use. Let's say you're going for a steak, for example. Yeah, hey, I'm going to have 9 ounce steak as going to be a rump steak. Can you give me a swap that's got less calories and the specific quantity that I can order? So use ChatGPT in the moment as you can as well. Pastas, you can swap it out for pasta, low calorie substitution. You can go for rice, cauliflower rice. Start to use AI because we have these things in place to make it much easier to make the swaps right there in the moment too. Another variation you can use is if you take a direct picture of the meal with your smartphone, plug into ChatGPT. Of another thing you can do as well is let's say you're out for a meal and you're looking at the the menu right there, and you're like, hey, I want to get this meal, but the calories are a little bit high. Take a picture of the meal itself directly and just say, hey, based on these ingredients, what substitutions can I make to save me calories? Please list them out. I'm about to make the order for this meal here specifically. So, for example, if you're having, let's say, poached eggs, avocado, smoked salmon with some full fat sausages and butter on the actual bread, it may tell you, hey, let's reduce the fats from the avocado, let's take the butters out, and let's go for poached eggs rather than fried eggs or scrambled eggs. Because when you go for poached eggs, they don't use cooking oils because it's prepared a different way. So I'll tell you this right away. Option two, let's say you have the meal in front of you and you're just going to ask for it like, hey, can you just make this less calories? How can I reduce the calories there? So I'll tell you how to portion control it. It may tell you like, hey, take away this ingredient from this food, or hey, have more of this, save a little bit of this, or portion control this and take the rest home for the next day. So start to use AI with these prompts. So coming back to it, you can take the picture, ask for a way to tweak the actual order you're going to make, or two, if the food's already in front of you, ask for ways you can actually use it, save calories by what ingredients you want to take out, how you can portion control it the right way. So guys, this is Food Swaps 101. This is going to be the food hack system we can use. Hope you find it useful. Big thank you for watching, and I hope you took a lot.